everyone. This is Naveen George. I'm really excited to have you guys here. Thanks for taking time. So this presentation is mainly to show you guys some of the updates that we're very excited to show you and to show how we're expanding our portfolio when it comes to condition monitoring and the iAlert product line, and would kind of fill in the gaps of the stuff that you guys have been asking for a while now. So let's get right into it. And the first thing, I guess, just for everyone here, just to introduce myself, my name is Naveen George. I've been in IPT now for actually 7 years since yesterday, and been I'm the product manager for about a year, but been with R&D with product line for the beginning of the product, for the iAlert 2 product, and definitely focusing on the IoT product development. And yeah, just excited to show you some of the stuff that we're coming up with. So the biggest thing would be what we want to talk about today is automated diagnostics. So in the end of the day, what we are trying to show you today is people who have used our system, who have used our sensors and everything. One of the biggest things we've seen out in the market, out in our customer base, is that our iAlerts are really good, really easy to use. They can view the data really well on the portal. But what is the next step? So the data is shown, the spectrum is shown on alarm, all that is great, but how do I make sense of it? Usually what people do is they send it out to a third-party reliability firm, or maybe have an internal group that has probably kind of extended their resources and stuff like that. So it's not the ideal situation just to have a data dump. So what we're excited to show you guys is we're trying to make that data more, make sense of that data and give you actionable intelligence. Vision analysis pretty much takes the spectrums, compares it, or lets it go into the black box that is a rules-based engine developed over decades by vibration analysts, and spits out what the fault is, what the recommendation is, and what the severity of it is. So that itself is something that I feel like has been talked about a lot within our customer base, like I mentioned. In the end of the day, if I can give you an idea of what you need to look at and what exactly might be the reason the spectrum is behaving that way in an alarm event, that is very valuable and something that is now filling in the gaps from our competitor side of things and also from our value proposition as well. The biggest thing is to reduce time and expertise to collect and analyze the data, and also a flexible solution, because you'll see in a couple of slides where we are kind of building our ecosystem to kind of, you can pick and choose what you want to do, and we want to provide as much as the full closed loop system to make sure that you can get everything you need from our system, now adding this automated diagnostic value proposition as well. So just to deep dive, just get right into it, what we're talking about and how it's going to look in terms of your portal or in terms of the UI. This is the use case right here, which you guys are already pretty familiar with. In terms of this right here is the trend data that you can see on your portal. You can see how this is, by the way, this is a real case scenario with the pump motor setup. And one thing that I wanted to mention here is now we're not just talking about having an iAlert on a motor, iAlert on a pump, or any kind of driven equipment. We're talking about having it on at the train. So when I talk about at the train, I'm talking about a motor pump setup altogether. So when I see this trend data, I'm seeing that it's behaving fine. But then I see there's some kind of process issue or some mechanical fault issue. And then after that, you can see over here that it crossed the threshold and thereby creating an alarm event. And then also you'll be able to click on that spectrum and then see the FFT that you see over here, the spectrum that you see over here. So this is kind of what you see right now. In the end of the day, you see all the spectrums, you kind of look at the harmonics and everything, and then you send someone who knows what they're looking at and try to make sense of that data, right? But what if you don't have that person? What if you don't have that time to do that in analysis? So what we're doing in this case is that if you see right here, with a click of this button right over there, which we'll get more into a little bit more detail about the UI, but with a click of that button right there, you'll be able to then get within seconds, like I mentioned, the fault, the recommendation, the severity of the recommendation and fault, and now you have straight up actionable intelligence and a path forward without kind of wasting time trying to find someone to know what they're looking at or trying to, because in the end of the day, when it comes to falls, certain falls, you want to make sure that you don't waste any time. So that's what we want to provide you guys, a very quick way to kind of give you an idea where to look at and what to look at. And this particular case, why I want to highlight this case is because this is an actual use case where because we've been testing this diagnostic rules engine for over 8 months with different beta customers. And one thing that we definitely caught with this particular customer is that, hey, this spectrum, when we ran against our rules engine, we saw that it said replace pump bearings and pump roller bearing wear. So we told the customer, hey, this is something that you might want to look at. And it's an important severity, a serious severity, maybe just go look at it. So what they did is that they saw that this was a good reason to honestly stop the equipment and break it down. And one thing that they found out was, yes, it was a bearing issue. They did have higher vibration, higher temperature, and all that was correlated to a bearing failure. So the best part about this is that you were able to save the customer a lot of time, save the customer before a catastrophic event took place, and was able to give them an idea of what to look at. And that was so valuable for the customer. And he was like, Pilot is detecting stuff where your competition is not. And when he says stuff, he's talking about mechanical faults. So that's the biggest thing that we want to make sure that that we highlight here is that it saves time. It gives you an expertise analyst analysis right then and there with a click of a button. And now you don't just get a data dump, you get actionable intelligence. So that's what the most excitement that's coming around this. And there's also other updates that we'll be talking about in terms of the gateway and everything. So this is a slide that you guys probably already seen, in the sense that we have our portfolio right here pretty much, where you have your Bluetooth sensors, your vibration triaxial temperature sensor right there with ILS2. Then you have your pressure sensor, all communicating to the app, and then goes to the AI platform to see it. And then you have your gateway, which makes it 24/7 remote monitoring. But like I said, we had a gap in between, and this is where we fill in that gap. And one thing that I'm going to just talk about it right now, just touch base with, I'll get into deep dive, is the gateway is going to have two-way communication as well. So just from a diagnostic perspective, you'll be able to see the data and you make sense of that data. But if you want to interrogate the sensor, we'll be able to update the gateway automatically in terms of the software, and then now you'll be able to do two-way communication to the sensor from your AI platform. I know I'm just touching base with it. I'm going to get a little bit more deep dive into that functionality, but this is, like I said, filling in the gaps, and that's our biggest thing. Now you can pretty much, from a customer standpoint, I can now use an iAlert and the whole scheme of different product lines, and then pick and choose what I want for my particular use case. So this is that example of that, right? So if I just want the sensor and I don't want to get the 24/7 remote monitoring, I can use my app. And one thing that I want to highlight from this particular side is the diagnostic that's not available on the portal. It's available on the app side as well. So that's something that we want to make sure that we keep true to our customer base, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you guys can go interrogate the sensor right at the sensor level. Or if you want to sit in your desk on your desktop somewhere, anywhere in the world, you can also look at the data through the AI platform. So that's something that we want to make sure that we keep that same concept of having the app and having the AI portal. And when I mentioned about the gateway, obviously the gateway communicates to the cloud-based using cellular and also Wi-Fi capabilities. Now, as I mentioned, the two-way communication. So say you have a data going up here, and then there is something that the thresholds and the spectrum shows that, hey, there's some kind of issue. If I want to increase the trend acquisition, or like increase the frequency of the trend acquisition, or I want to increase the frequency of the alarm check, that I want to change the tag name, change the thresholds, all of that can be done using the two-way communication from the gateway, from the platform down to the sensor. So if I'm anywhere in the world, I can now start interrogate to the sensor via the AI platform through the gateway. And also this ecosystem kind of shows you that we are just not a system that shows the data right on the platform. We are also available, I mean, our data is available to get piped to your data lake, which is our historian, like a Pi or a Delta V. And since not most of it, all of this setup and development was done in-house by our IT team and our software team and our hardware team, the flexibility for a solution that we can provide you is pretty much no ceiling to it, because, I mean, there is obviously certain ceilings to it like any other product line, but with this addition of diagnostics and addition of the two-way communication, now really I don't see a gap when it comes to pushing it to get a solution for a conditioning-based system to implement in any kind of environment, especially since our sensors are certified for Class 1 Div 1 and all that good stuff. So just wanted to touch base on that, and if you guys have any questions, please let us know in the presentation. So kind of giving a summary of our sensors, because probably a lot of customers that's online here probably are very familiar with the iAlert, but maybe some are not. So I just want to just highlight a few of our key points, why you should be choosing the iAlert system and why it kind of makes sense for you guys for your use cases. The biggest thing is ease of use and easy to set up. So at the end of the day, this is a wireless sensor. You just want to make sure that it's mounted properly on a proper location. And we have different adapter mounts that you can use, or magnetic mounts you can use. And in the end of the day, like from a personal experience, to set up like 50 iAlerts on 50 different assets with the gateway and everything, it took us about 4 hours between two people. So just to get everything 24/7 remote monitoring, and also getting condition monitoring for about 50 assets, it took us 4 hours, like I mentioned, and that's something that keeps us very attractive to a lot of customers. Making the equipment smart, so in the end of the day, it's not a red light, green light indicator. It actually tells you what the overall RMS is. But more than that, if it goes into an alarm state, or if you just want to interrogate it to get a spectrum, it tells you with the 1 Hz bin resolution, tells you exactly what the fault is from, like I mentioned, from a spectrum standpoint and everything. So I think that's what makes us, like, from the iAlert 2 perspective, being out there for 5 years, a great value for a lot of our customers. The plug-and-play method, that's thing from a gateway standpoint. And then at the end of the day, if you want to make your overall solution a 24/7 remote monitoring, if anything goes bump in the night, how do you kind of get that information? That's where the gateway comes to play. And one thing that we want to make sure is that the user doesn't need to configure anything extra. They can just find a good location for it, plug it in, find a power source, and then you're up and running. And that is what we try to make sure that the user ease of use is something that we take pride on, and we want to make sure that is translated in all our product lines. The accuracy is another thing that obviously that we keep harping on. In the end of the day, if you compare our sensor to a handheld and keep all of the sampling rate, the windowing, and everything the same, we have plus or minus 10% to a handheld. Which is pretty impressive because from a price difference itself, it's impressive, but also just to take our measurement and take our spectrum and to compare it to something like a handheld, I've not seen that done with a lot of our competitors, and also that's something that I challenge our customers to try it with their own system and see how we stand and stuff like that. So those two things are very important to us, and also the other point that I mentioned. One of the things about this particular slide is I wanted to mention is when you do your predictive maintenance routes, it's great because you get an idea where it stands at that particular point. Maybe you find a mechanical fault by using your handheld, by taking spectrums and stuff. But what happens in between that? So our sensor wakes up every hour default and stores the measurement internal to it. We can store up to 6 months worth of data, and we can store up to 7 alarm spectrums as well. So if there's any kind of process issues and anything like that, we can catch that being a trending tool. So you can add that to your predictive maintenance route as well. So this particular case is a real use case where an equipment was kept, the seal kept failing, and they really did not know what was the issue behind it. So what they did is put an iAlert on there and started trending the data, and then collecting the data periodically, and saw that between B and C shifts, the valve wasn't closed and it was dry running. And that's what we're trying to let our customers know, that at the end of the day, if there's a mechanical fault, you can run it against that diagnostic rules engine. But if there is a process issue, you'll also be able to catch that using a trending tool. So like I mentioned, we're trying to give you a full-fledged solution with everything that we can think of that can fill in the gaps pretty much, right? So the two-way communication. I know a lot of people are pretty excited about this part. In the end of the day, the two-way communication piece is something that we're excited to show you is the biggest thing right now from a gateway standpoint, and I say plug and play, you don't need to do anything. And same thing when it comes to updates. You don't need to worry about configuring it for an update and everything. The gateway will look online because we can remote access to it, and we can update the gateway. So right now, what we've done, since we already launched this new updates and everything in the past week, this week and next week, we're updating all the gateways out in the field to have this two-way communication. So if you guys already have gateways, this is all getting updated to your particular gateways right now. So what is the two-way communication, right? So at the end of the day, if you see on the right-hand side right here, this is the UI that you will see on your AI portal where you can request and schedule diagnostics on demand. So if you want to schedule a new spectrum once a week or once every 2 weeks or whatever, the minimum is once a day, but you can go all the way up to, like I said, once a day, but you can go to months and stuff. But if you want to just keep track of how the equipment is doing in terms of spectrums, you can do that. You can run a new diagnostic on demand. And after you look at the spectrum, you're like, you know what, I really want to increase the frequency of my trend acquisition. This is where this part comes into play, where I can now, like I mentioned, change my rate, change my alarm wake-up rate, the orientation, the sensor name, the position, and all my thresholds right here. This is something that's important. This two-way communication is just not for ILO2 vibration sensor. It's also for our pressure sensor as well. Obviously, you cannot do the diagnostics because it doesn't do the spectrums for the pressure sensor. But when it comes to changing alarm levels and everything, you can do that. And the thing is, now you can also communicate to your pressure sensor via the gateway, which is another update we just came out with as well. So, so this is something, again, like I've since talking to a lot of customers out there, talking to a lot of our field sales personnel and everything. This is something that's been asked from us a good amount, and I think you guys will be excited to see how easy it is to use it and how respondent it is. And now you can, there's no, and also from an efficiency standpoint, I don't need to send someone out there every time there's some issue. I don't need to send somewhere if I want to change something. I can just sit on my desktop, do a communication to not just one single sensor, multiple different sensors, and be really efficient from my conditioning monitoring standpoint. And also now from the current environment with COVID and not having a lot of capability of sending a lot of people out there, I can now do remote access, and that is a big. I mean, obviously this is important for pre-COVID as well, but from a COVID situation and from a limited amount of resources situation, I think this would be very useful for a lot of our customers out there. So, and another thing to kind of emphasize is once you get the spectrum, like you get from a two-way communication, you can then run it against a rules engine right then on your AI platform, and then you can get the results right as we speak. So again, just how quick and easy to get an idea where your equipment stands and what you need to do in terms of actionable data. So those diagnostics, what it is, how it is, and how does the diagnostics work? So if you look at this particular slide, the iAlert is a sensor that obviously you guys know we're talking about 4,000 samples per second in 3 axes. We can give you spectrums on demand, spectrums and alarm. But now you have a spectrum. What do you make sense of it? You send it through a rules engine, which is developed over 30 years, contains over 1,200 different fault variations. And in the end of the day, we'll give you an idea right on your mobile app, right on your AI platform. What do I need to do? Is it a misalignment? Is it a cavitation? Is it some kind of bearing issue? Those are the stuff that I would like to know right away, and that's where we come into play with the diagnostics. And this is not something that's developed over like a couple of years. This has been developed for a long time and and also developed by a lot of people who have been in the industry for a long time as well. So from a scalable solution, this is what we wanted to mention is that if you can pick and choose how you want to do it. If you want diagnostics, if you want 24/7 remote monitoring, if you want the full integration to your historian, to your RESTful API, all that stuff, we can provide that. And that's just one thing that we definitely want to make sure that you guys understand is it's just not you need to get diagnostics or you need to get this or that. You can pick and choose the way that you want to kind of fit your value proposition or your use case. So the new features, like I said, filling the gaps. The biggest thing is from an AI portal perspective and with the diagnostics, you get actionable intelligence, you get ease of use, you get accuracy of the skilled vibration analyst, and you can now start interrogating it from your sensor without sending someone out there. If need be, obviously you can send someone out there, but you don't need to, right? Because now you have your gateway that you can communicate to. So what equipment do we support in terms of our rules engine, right? Because at the end of the day, we have to kind of make sure that we relate this very clearly because it's not every single driven equipment and it's not every single driver equipment. So from a driven equipment standpoint, what we can provide diagnostics on is centrifugal pump, screw pump, progressive cavity thread pump, gear pump, fan, centrifugal blower, cooling, tower fan, agitator, mixer, and aerator. When it comes to like the intermediate, when it talks about like coupling, we do rigid and flexible, closed couple, belt, chain, and gearbox. The driver equipment and AC/DC motor. So this right here. Once you guys start using it a little bit more, you'll understand this is an asset train. So when I mention an asset train, I'm talking about your driven equipment, your driver equipment, and your intermediate. So now we're not going to just give you a diagnostics on just the pump side or just the motor side. We're going to give you diagnostics on your asset train. So that's the biggest thing in this particular slide that I wanted to highlight. And also one thing we wanted to make sure is to kind of get an understanding is how many sensors do you need to get the best results, right? Because right now what we have usually recommended is one on the motor and one on the pump. So if you have one on the driver's side of the driven equipment, you are kind of limited to about 17 faults. If you are going to put one on just the motor side of things, kind of limited to only 27 faults. And this is kind of the usual setup that we usually see out there and recommend out there is you get one pump and one on the motor, you get about 50 faults, which kind of gives you an idea of the full fledged of your asset train, which is what we really want to see. And then if you really want to get the full optimization of the rules engine, this is 76 faults. I know I said 12, but it's variations of the 76 faults. You want to have one on the driver, one on the non-drive end of the motor or the driver equipment, and one on the driver's side and non-drive side of the driven equipment. This is what we are recommending to get the best use of our rules engine. But again, it all depends on how you want to use how do you want to use it. We will still give you diagnostics, but I just wanted to make sure that you understand if you want to optimize your investment, this is what we recommend in terms of installation. So you get all that, you get the results. What do the results mean, right? What is the fault that you're going to talk about? I know we talked about like imbalance and stuff like that, but that's great. I mean, fault examples like serious indication of coupling wear or moderate pump shaft looseness or slight pump flow restriction or disturbance. That's great, but do I need to act up on it right now? Do I need to just wait and see, or do I need to keep an eye on it? That's where the severity comes into play, right? So you have your slight, your moderate, serious, and extreme. So at the end of the day, if you go all the way to extreme, what we recommend is you please go look at it as soon as possible, take more data, and kind of make sense of why we deem it as extreme. And then if you wanted to make some changes that to make it more believable, we can do that. But at the same time, this is like the severity kind of gives you an idea of what you need to do and how quick you need to act upon it. And the same thing goes to the recommendations. Like some of the examples are replace pump bearings, overhaul pump, inspect pump assembly for proper fit. Again, the same thing as your fault status. We give you 4 different severities. Obviously, the first one, no recommendation, so you won't get any kind of recommendation. But then the next three is what you would be acting upon in the terms of like, do I need to just keep an eye on it, or do I need to send someone right there to kind of get a better idea as soon as possible, because that's what the rules engine is spitting out. So that is the output that you guys will see, and then make decisions on top of it on how you want to act on. So that's all good in terms of the diagnostic and in terms of the updates and everything. And like I keep mentioning, in the terms of ease of use, the mobile app and the AI platform is where you will see these updates at, right? So this is a software update. So from a customer standpoint, you can get, once you do pay into the subscription for diagnostics, you can use your mobile app to see the data, and you can see the AI platform, and there's no manual update needed. It'll be like updating your app like you usually do from your cell phone. And the AI platform, there's no like an update thing. Since it's a web-based platform, you'll be able to just see the updates as you log onto it. And one thing I wanted to mention to our customers who have pro accounts, you guys will be getting the diagnostics already enabled for your remainder of your contract, because we want to make sure that we obviously adhere to your AI platform pro account, and also want to share this new exciting feature when it comes to diagnostics with our loyal customers. So I just wanted to mention that as well. So now I just want to take you to a quick video of what it looks like from an app perspective and a portal perspective. So give me one second. So from an app perspective, this is pretty much how you would be using it. You would be going to the sensor, you would be clicking on your app, you'll be connecting to the sensor like you normally do. Nothing really changed in this aspect of things. And only now the difference once you connect to it is that the advanced tools page. So this right over here. So once you connect to it and you go to the advanced tools page, that will look a little different, because that's where we hold all our diagnostics. Spectrum's already downloaded right there. I click on one of the spectrums, I can run the diagnostics right there and then get a result within seconds. So you can see how quick I was able to just get an idea what is wrong with it. And if I want to improve it, let me just pause that for a second. Yeah, so now I just want to mention right here, if I want to improve the results, there are different ways to improve the results. One of the ways is obviously, like I mentioned, is adding different sensors to different parts of the overall asset train. But the other thing is there's multiple things. One is to make sure that you give enough information about the asset train. So when you go and when you create your asset trains on the portal or on the application, you'll see that you'll need to put more information than you were asked before, in terms of like what equipment it is, what bearing arrangement it is, and what's the coupling and all that stuff, and the speed and everything. So there's more information that you will be asked to put in, and the better optimized information that you put in there, the better results you'll get. And all that information about what you need to put in is on our website on eilers.com. And also there are videos online and everything for you to show that. But if you guys need more information on how to set it up, please reach out to your local sales rep person or one of us, and then we can kind of guide you through that process. And if you have a lot of sensors to kind of give more information about it, we can help you by you giving us a list of that asset train, and then we'll be able to put it in the background as well. But I'll get into that when we go to the portal side, but I just want to mention that. Another way to make it more optimized is getting spectrums when it's running normally and marking them as normal. So once you mark them as normal, now you're not just comparing it against spectrums that are in that same class. You're actually comparing spectrums to that particular asset train. We recommend about marking three normal spectrums as normal. Marking three spectrums as normal. And then when you do get an alarm state event with the spectrum, you can just pretty much run the diagnostics on there, and then you'll now get the best use of our diagnostics as well. So that's what this kind of shows you. I mark it normal, and then I go back, to the spectrum, and I run it again, just to make sure that it's not anything kind of anomaly, and I get the same results back, and that now kind of tells me, hey, all right, I can kind of delete this. Now, if I want to improve more, I can now, like I mentioned, kind of give more information about the asset, and I can start running different spectrums over and over again from different timestamps and trying to get an idea where I stand with my particular asset. So that's kind of the idea from the application standpoint. Now, now from a portal standpoint is that this right here, which shows you how the portal looks like. So from a side view page, everything looks very similar. You'll pretty much go over here, check your notifications, and see that it went into alarm state or not. So you can click on one of the sensors, click over there, and it takes you to the asset page. This is what I was talking about, giving more information. So this is where it looks different. You have to kind of define what the asset train name is, orientation, line frequency, and then you need to go down to your sensor data right here, where you can see that it kind of puts in the equipment type, the equipment category. So all this information just helps us make our results more oriented to your system and more accurate, right? So that's what we're trying to do here with adding all this information. And just to reiterate what I just said like a couple minutes ago, if you guys have a lot of sensors, we'll give you a template of a spreadsheet to fill this information out, and then we can help you load this all up instead of you guys going through each asset and creating it as well, depending on the number of sensors you have. Please make sure that you guys use us for that, and also use us for to kind of guide you on how to do this better. So going to that, in the end of the day, this is kind of the pretty much the same thing that you guys already see. You can see two-way communication on top, but now you have your trend data. Now you have a spectrum. That's good and everything. Now I can see my spectrum on the next page. I mean, when you scroll down, that's good. But what does it mean? So now I can run diagnostics, click a button, and then I get a result right there. So that's what I wanted to kind of show you from these two videos, is how you can use your application, you can use your portal and get the results right then and there, get the reports, all that, and with all the information that you see on the screen, pretty straightforward and again, ease of use, which is one of our trademarks, right? So now going back to the presentation. One of the things that we want to also kind of change is the way that we provide our solutions and everything. So the sensor stays the same in terms of you can just buy it outright. It's the same kind of method in terms of that. The diagnostic bundle is a little different. Instead of like you've seen before, where you kind of do 25 sensor batch, we're now going in sensor level, so you can pretty much get the diagnostics per sensor. And there's prices associated to each different option that you see here. And I would definitely reach out to your distributor or your local sales personnel or one of us in MNC and ITT to kind of get what the pricing would be for each individual customer. But that's the diagnostics bundle, where you can get it's minimum 20 sensors, but it's individual sensors. Automated diagnostics, both the mobile app and the web platform. That's what you see over here. The gateway is the same. It doesn't really change much in that aspect of things. The leasing model, you got to pay per subscription per year. But this is something that I wanted to highlight a little bit more for customers. If you want to try to do more of a company-wide or corporate-wide solution, we wanted to get into where you guys don't worry about what the warranty is or buying the sensor outright. You lease it for a certain price per year per sensor, and it's you pretty much don't have to have the headache of worrying about warranty. If something goes wrong with the sensor, we'll replace that sensor. It's under the same contract. And the biggest thing from our standpoint is that since we're doing this as a leasing thing, where you just lease the sensors and the diagnostic, we're trying to aim for a minimum 250 sensors and a 3-year contract. So from a customer standpoint, it's not like I need to pay a one-time capital investment into a big solution. I can break it down into my 3-year contract and a service agreement, and I don't need to worry about any kind of warranty issues. And I have full-fledged solution with the diagnostics, the sensor, all under this one CDM bundle that we want to call it. And again, if you guys need any more information about this or the pricing for this, please reach out. and we'll definitely help you guys out with this. And this is kind of what we're excited because we're trying to not just go for like a solution of like 20 sensors or whatever like that, which is great if that is what our customers want. But if customers want a full-fledged solution, which we can, like I said, from the ecosystem, we kind of fill in the gaps. Now adding a leasing system, we're reducing your initial investment like you would if you want to buy 250 sensors outright. So kind of excited to show you guys as well. So a summary of what we just talked about, in the end of the day, is automated vibration analysis expands the eye alert condition monitoring solution, reduces time and expertise to collect and analyze the data, and again, just trying to be as flexible as possible with our solution that you can, with what you guys need is what we want to fit our solution to. So again, please, if you want more information, reach us at the support at eyealert.ai, or you can go to the eyealert.com page where it's all updated with the new support documents when it comes to diagnostics, the gateway, the application, all that stuff. And again, please reach out to your local rep or to one of us as well.